Come on now. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Stardom. I'm Dylan Craner, also Jukebox Ginger, as everybody else knows me. Today, I have a special guest, Ashlie Lawson. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
It's bright and early.
It is, but I'm a morning person, so this is not a problem for me. Believe it or not, I actually had a meeting at 7 a.m. before I had to be here with you. So I've been up for a while.
I've been up since about 7 too, getting the kids ready for school. So
Yeah.
that's good. How's the weather down there? I know you're in the Dallas area, correct?
I am in the Dallas area and it's finally getting nice outside. I feel like we only have two seasons. We have mostly summer and then like 3 days of winter. And if we're going based on last year, that winter is a blizzard that shuts everything down for 3 days. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, it's finally nice. I was able to go play outside for a few hours yesterday in the late afternoon. So I was like, yay, it's finally getting to be where it's not miserable to be outside.
Yes. I'm in Kansas City, so I'm a little further north. The weather's still kind of eh. Currently, it's like 40 degrees outside.
Well,
But you're
that's
from Memphis. Isn't the weather there pretty crazy?
it can be. I will say we do get all four seasons there. It stays humid there a lot because we're literally right next to the Mississippi River. So there's just constant water held in the air. But yeah, it's nice. I would honestly take the weather there over what it is here because like I said, at least in Memphis, we always had all four seasons.
Mm-hmm. And I've never been to Memphis. Is there mountains in Memphis?
There's not, no.
Okay.
In fact, whenever I tell people I'm from Tennessee, they're like, "Oh, we love Tennessee. It's so beautiful." And I'm like, Memphis is kind of the redheaded stepchild of my state. It's not like anywhere else in the state of Tennessee that you'll go. And of course, most people, when they talk about how beautiful it is, they're talking about East Tennessee, so
Mm.
closer like to Georgia and the Carolinas. And it is beautiful over there because there are mountains and stuff like that, but not in Memphis. Memphis is its own breed.
And Kansas is just flat. That's all there's nothing else to it. Um, so you are in the film industry, right?
I am.
And let's talk a little bit about what got you into that.
Okay.
So in Memphis, you saw a theater play on Peter Pan, correct?
Yes. Yep. At the Orpheum in downtown Memphis. First play I ever went to.
And that's where you decided you wanted to do acting in film.
Yes. I thought, it was a magical experience for me, both literally and figuratively. Literally because it was Peter Pan, and who doesn't love to watch people flying around the stage? And especially when you get to be taken to London and Neverland for a couple of hours when you're
Mm.
not actually there. But it was magical for me figuratively because it was kind of that moment that clicked for me where I realized people were doing this for a living. They were playing, they were having fun, they were making other people feel like they were having this magical experience. And I wanted to be a part of that.
Oh, cool. And did you go? You said you went with your dad, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, my dad, and I have a younger brother, and my mom.
Okay. I've heard some of your. Whenever I research people, I kind of go off. I try to find other podcasts and whatever I can find. So I
Yeah.
heard on the previous one about the Peter Pan thing. So that's why I kind of wanted to touch base on that. Um, when did you move from Memphis to where you are now?
I've been here for about 10 years. I think it'll be 11 years in May.
Okay. And was it for work? Is that why you did it?
Yes. So I am a licensed 7th through 12th grade English teacher. And I taught my first year of school in Memphis. And it was not a pleasant experience, not because of the students. The kids were great, absolutely loved them. But there was just some other things that made it a difficult environment to be in. So I decided to stopped teaching, and my dad has some business here in Texas and asked me if I wanted to come run one of his businesses for him, and I said yes. I did eventually get back into teaching here in Texas. I decided to give it another shot, and now I teach virtually through a school district here in Texas. But yeah, so technically it was for work, but I lived in this same area when I was younger. I actually went to kindergarten here in this area. And that's kind of about the time where you can, like, when you think back, you can actually remember stuff. And I just always remember how much I loved it. I spent most of my high school years wanting to get back here to Texas at some point. And so, really, my dad just kind of gave me an avenue to be able to do that. So here I am.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Would you say that the film industry is more, I don't know, I guess there's a lot more opportunity there than maybe back in Memphis?
I think it's growing everywhere. I will say that it does seem that way to me, but I wasn't very involved in the film community when I was actually in Memphis. So that's definitely my own fault. And like whenever I'm on the acting casting websites now, I see a lot more stuff being done in Memphis by indie filmmakers, which I think is great. I would love to be able to go back to my home and work with some of them down here, or I'm sorry, up there, but down here it's the same type thing. There's a lot of indie filmmakers here. There's a lot of people doing web series, a lot of people doing trailers to pitch to networks and streaming services. I actually have a trailer that's out being pitched now, and tonight I actually have a meeting with the director of that as well to see about getting on some other projects that I want to be a part of. And yeah, so and then we have quite a few bigger network things being filmed here. Cruel Summer, that was on Freeform and Hulu, was filmed here in this area. The new Walker series is being filmed in Austin. So I think more and more professional industry things are coming here to Texas, specifically to Dallas and Austin. And then there's a few other things, like in San Antonio, and a few things pop up in Houston every once in a while. But yeah, if you're close to the big cities around here in Texas, there's definitely work for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's would you say that COVID has kind of, obviously there's nothing good about COVID, but as far as like the film industry online, like you said, webcasting and stuff like that, do you think it's became a bigger thing?
I think that, like you said, nothing is good about COVID, but I think it's opened up doors that were not previously open within our industry. And by that, I mean, now we as actors have more opportunities, because since everybody's kind of leery of doing things in person, everything is cast through self-tapes. So now I can audition here in Dallas for, something that's going to be filmed out in New Mexico and be considered for it because it's a self-tape, as opposed to if they were only doing in-person auditions, because it would be a little bit difficult for me to get to New Mexico on a whim. So I think it's opened up doors for that. But I think once things started opening back up from COVID being in quarantine kind of forced a lot of people to dive back into their creative side. So when production was able to pick back up again, a lot of those people that came up with their creative work while we were in quarantine are wanting to produce it and get it put out in front of people. So again, there's definitely work. At first, it was slow going for things to kind of pick back up. But I personally feel like when it did, it came back with a big agenda, and one that I am perfectly okay with.
And as far as the online schooling, if the film industry kind of took you on full time, would you still be doing the teaching, or do you think you would step away from that?
It would depend. I'm fortunate enough, my schedule, I teach school from 9 o'clock to 10:45 in the morning. I do have to be available till 5 o'clock. So there is some flexibility and wiggle room, in my afternoon. But of course, if I was going to have to be on set all day, or even if I have to be somewhere during school hours, I have to let them know, have to take days off. which is fine with me. In fact, I went into my school year like, okay, I get 10 days off. I'm not taking any days off unless I actually get booked and I need to be somewhere because I do enjoy the teaching as well. So I wouldn't want to, just completely abandon my students in the middle of the school year.
Yeah, of course. See, I'd be terrible at doing it online because I would just pre-record it and tell everybody to email me if they had questions.
See, I would love to be able to do that. And like if you know you're going to be out, you can do that and you just have to let your administrator know. Because I kind of thought that would be fun to do, just spend some time doing some bulk video, get a few lessons out of the way. And unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah. I'd be a terrible teacher anyway, so it's have you done any film work that anybody could find maybe online, or is there any shorts or anything you've done, or
I've done shorts. So the shorts that I've done that have actually been released, for lack of a better way to phrase it, were student films. We have a lot of universities here in the Dallas area, a lot of film programs, and seniors needing to do the film version of a senior thesis, essentially. And so I've been a part of a few of those, but because they were for school, I have the footage, but they weren't actually sent anywhere. In August, I wrapped a supporting role in a feature film that is in post-production right now, and they are actually going to submit it to film festivals whenever it is done being edited. I did a featurette a couple years ago, and actually just talked to the director of that last week, and the director of photography moved from the time we wrapped filming up to now, and apparently it's been a big deal to try to get this footage back from him, because that's what I wanted, was the footage. I'm trying to get my demo reel updated. I would really like this footage. I've got a few other one short film that just made its debut at the end of September at a women's film festival in Beverly Hills. I had a supporting role in that as well, and one other one that's based on a true story that is still in the film festival circuit as well.
it's crazy how long like the process is to get stuff out there.
Yes.
Probably
Is.
legalities and editing.
Right. And while with COVID and not being able to have film festivals at all last year, it put all of that stuff behind a whole year as well for those directors that want to take it to the next level.
I remember when COVID hit and Hollywood basically got shut down. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, freaking out." Okay, so I also heard on a previous one that you like to do sitcom and you enjoy British stuff, right?
I do enjoy British stuff, and I would love to be on a sitcom.
Would you consider yourself sort of comical or like a natural funny, or like do you have lines that you have written for shows?
Well, I would first of all, like to preface this by saying that sarcasm is my first language, and I know that sarcasm is not for everyone. So I would say, honestly, that's where a lot of my humor comes from, personally. But I also enjoy really watching things like Parks and Rec and The Office. And in fact, I had an acting coach that used to like to play with my scenes because I could do it so well, as that deadpan type humor of just delivering the funny line, but doing it with the straightest face possible. And I'm pretty quick-witted, I guess is the best way to phrase it.
Oh, good. Well, that'll work well for this episode, because I picked the topic, kind of a lost in translation topic for today. I found some interesting terminology that people found, whether they're British or from here, and they were confused. And then I also found a few British dishes that I thought were pretty funny, so I threw those in here as well.
British dishes like food?
Yes.
Okay.
So first up, when I first moved to the UK for school, everyone kept saying, "You all right?" to me, and I would reply puzzled, "Yeah, I'm okay. Why?" And then they would be confused. Turns out, "You all right?" means "How's it going?" but North America, we only word it that way if you seem to be having an issue, like you can't stop coughing or look sick.
Oh, I
Did you know that?
probably would have made the same mistake. I've been to both England and Ireland, and nowhere did I hear that phrase used. And both places, I was there for 2 weeks, so there was plenty of time for it to have happened.
I almost feel like the slang there is just whatever you want it to be, because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
I did a show with some Irish guys about a month ago, and one of the stories I did was about it was on fear, and somebody was scared of biscuits. So we were talking for like 3 minutes about biscuits. Well, there biscuits is called Yorkshire puddings or something like that. So they thought I was talking about cookies the whole time.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah. So it was pretty funny because like later on they're like, wait.
Maybe we need to backtrack a little bit. I wonder how long it took that person to finally ask somebody what that actually meant.
Because you would. How long do you think you walked around confused? Like, why is everybody asking me if I'm all right?
Well, I don't know, but even if the phrase translated means like, how's it going? I still think that answer of, oh, I'm fine works.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I don't know because they probably expect different responses there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm wondering, like, how long it actually took that person to figure out that there was some kind of translational thing going on, and then once he figured that out, how long it took them to actually ask somebody what it really meant.
Unfortunately, Reddit doesn't give me too many details.
Yeah, I know, unless the person elaborates on it.
Yeah. And that's funny. The thing about my show is, like, everyone's like, oh, it's just Reddit? That's easy. Well, I try to search because there's a lot of people that repost just stupid things. So I have to really search for the stuff that I find interesting. Okay, this next one's a dish. Are you familiar with the term toad in a hole?
Never heard of it.
Nah, me neither. So I don't blame you. It's basically sausage stuffed in a biscuit.
Sausage stuffed in a biscuit, but not a cookie biscuit.
No, like a Yorkshire pudding. There you go. Just a basic can of biscuits.
Huh. It's
a little different. I mean, I've heard pigs in a blanket, but that's like croissants and a hot dog.
Right. A small hot dog.
Mm-hmm. Those little tiny weenies.
I don't know if I would be brave enough to try that.
Yeah, if you think that's bad, some of these other ones are like, what?
I mean, would you try it? Does it sound appetizing to you?
No. I mean, I remember growing up and doing frog in a logs, and it basically was. Have you ever heard of a frog in a log?
No, I've heard of ants in a log.
It's basically like French toasts, but like they cut a hole in the center of the bread, and then put the egg in the center of it, and that's it.
We call those eggs in a basket.
Too many different terms.
So full disclosure, I think we call it that because they have that on the menu at Cracker Barrel, and that's what they call it at Cracker Barrel. So that's just what I've always known that as.
Eggs in a basket? So there's Cracker Barrels around here. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's on the breakfast menu, and let me just say that when I discovered it on there, it was a life-changing experience because they use sourdough bread, and you get the hash brown casserole with it, and you can get bacon or sausage, and it's a very positive experience. So if you're ever in the mood for breakfast, you want to go to Cracker Barrel, give it a shot. If you're disappointed, I will take full responsibility for it.
I'll send the receipt. You refund me.
That's fine. Cracker Barrel is not expensive, so I can do
not at all. Plus, that hash brown casserole is fantastic.
Yes. Well, now I don't know how long it's been since you've been there, but you can get it cheesy hash brown casserole. So they put
it's the only way I get it.
Yes. Okay, good. So then we're on the same page with that.
Yes. Okay, next one. As a British teen, I used to think all Americans on TV were drunk way too often. Turns out I'm so pissed means different things.
Well, I would first like to say that regardless of the translation being lost with the phrase "I'm pissed" in the UK versus here, is that as a British teenager, I would still think that a lot of Americans were drunk a lot based on some of the stuff that we have on TV and some of the content and situations that they're put in. And especially, like we were just talking about sitcoms, more often than not, kind of the location to meet up is at a bar or a restaurant where they're drinking. And really, off the top of my head, the only thing that I can think of where that is not the case is Friends, because they met at the coffee shop all the time.
Yes, that's so true. I didn't even think about that because How I Met Your Mother's, they're always hanging out in a bar.
Yeah.
What else you got there?
New Girl, they're always at a bar because Nick works
always,
at the bar.
I've loved New Girl. I've binged that like 7 times.
Yeah.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They run a bar? And it's always.
I don't know. I've not seen that one.
My wife tries to get me to watch it. I can't get into it.
Well, so funny story about that show though. When I was in college, I think it was my sophomore year of college, I was flying from Nashville to Seattle. And I was sitting next to the nicest people on the plane. They were actually from Seattle. And this was when you still had portable DVD players that you had to take if you wanted to watch a movie. Streaming services weren't that advanced yet. And they were so nice. They were like, "Oh, we're going to watch this. Do you want to watch it with us?" I'm like, "That's so nice. But no, thank you." I had like my book. I was perfectly fine with that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I was best friends with those people by the time we got off the plane. But whenever I hear the name of that show, it's kind of that moment because I've never watched it. That's my experience with it. So I have a positive place in my heart for it.
Yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about it. I just never got into it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another dish. You ready?
Yes.
Rumple the Thumps.
I'm scared to even know what it is.
It is a side dish, and actually, it sounds a lot worse than it really is. I think it sounds pretty good. It's cabbage, potatoes, and onion. If you're making it at home, make sure to cover the top in a good portion of cheese before baking it in the oven.
I would eat that. It sounds like things you would put in a stew without the actual broth in it.
And I'm a big corned beef and cabbage fan. I love cabbage, and I think I could totally make that really well.
You'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah, I know. I'll think about it.
And then tell me how it is.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course. I'll send a picture. I'll send a picture of it. I was never really big on cabbage until I had it as corned beef and cabbage.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't eat egg rolls for the longest time because it had cabbage in it. Because I just thought, honestly, for me, whenever I heard cabbage, it always made me think of a Cabbage Patch Kid. And for some reason, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But as I got older and I realized that cabbage is just a form of lettuce, I was like, oh, okay, let's do this.
Did you like it?
I did, yes. I eat egg rolls all the time.
I know a lot of people use cabbage, people who don't do bread or whatever, they'll use it as the wrapping.
Yeah.
I've never done that, but
Me neither. Unless I was intentionally had the mindset of having a lettuce wrap of some sort, I've not substituted lettuce for bread.
Yeah, me either. I've never really been I can't eat bread either, so.
Yeah.
I'm the kind I like to eat bread with just butter on it. And my wife is like, ew.
I'm the same way. I don't do it as much anymore, but I'm the person, I will happily take gluten-free bread before I will substitute it.
I'm right there with you. And I've had gluten-free bread. I don't, it's too dry for me, but.
Really?
I think it's too dry.
I don't think, for me, at least the kind of gluten-free bread that I buy, because I buy gluten-free bagels too, I can't really, like, the texture of it is a little bit different, but there's not any flavor lost. So I was happy about that. I was like, ooh, I can eat healthier bread and it still tastes good.
Hmm. I've had some like burgers and stuff that were like, I don't even know, like some of those weird veggie black bean burgers and stuff like that. And that was interesting. It tasted like a chili to me almost more than it did a meat.
Oh, that's
Okay, so are you in? Do you drink at all? Do you like beer or anything, liquor, wine?
Yes, I drink. I am more of a wine drinker as opposed to beer.
Hmm. I like a good craft beer, and I bring that up because this next one says, I told my British friend I was going to get my growler filled at a local brewery. Apparently, growler is slang for a certain female body part.
Well, I've never heard of that word either. What is
A
that you?
growler. So,
Yeah,
have you ever seen those massive like water like tins that people carry around?
yeah.
It's similar to that, but it's meant for beer.
Okay.
It's called a growler because it's like 60 something ounces, and you can just take it to like a Granite City. Is Granite City around there?
No.
No. Okay. Well, just most restaurants or like local breweries will have like a special on growlers. So if you bring it in to fill it there, it's like discounted. It's cheaper than if you went to the
Huh.
liquor store.
That's
Hmm.
cool. I've learned something new today. So
There you
it's
go.
9 o'clock in the morning, and I've already had a productive day.
Good. That's part of my what I like about my show is I try to get people out of their usual interviews. I don't want it to be your everyday interview.
Yeah. But going back to that, I don't know. I feel a little bit like I should be somewhat offended that a slang for a female body part is called a growler. Like, where did that even come from? Who had such a bad experience that they named? That's what I need to know.
I'll have to do some research, or you can, either one of us. But yeah, I was very off put when I read this.
That's
It's like
that
that's
one's
not even
different.
that's not even an appealing term to use.
No. No, well, that's why I feel like you could only use it in a negative situation. Like, since it's for a female body part and it was guys having this conversation, I would just assume they would use that terminology after they had a negative experience. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then it just kind of became like a viral slang term for something negative.
yes, yes.
You never know. That could be the reason. I don't know. I really don't.
Maybe kind of like when everybody was going around saying that's hot because Paris Hilton was saying it all that time.
Have you ever seen The
I could see.
Babysitter with Jonah Hill?
I have not.
He's babysitting these kids, and the girl's like 6, and she's got covered in like just makeup, and that's what she says. That's hot. That's so hot.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, that's funny.
it's pretty funny.
I'll have to go find that. I like Jonah Hill a lot, so
It's good.
I'm
It's
sure I will
very.
enjoy it.
It's totally adult humor, but it's funny.
Yeah, and I've not even ever heard of that, and I've seen most of his movies because, like I said, I really enjoy watching him. I think he's hilarious. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm gonna make an effort to go look for that today.
There you go. Something else for you
Yes.
to watch. So I got another dish,
Okay.
and this one is actually going to be probably something you are familiar with once I tell you what it is. But have you ever heard of a mucky dripping?
No.
We do this pretty much every time we do a turkey. It's a type of gravy made from the juices left at the bottom of the pan. So like it's when you take like the drippings from like a rotisserie or a
Yeah.
turkey, and then you put in some cornstarch or something, make a gravy out of it. That's all. That's it.
What was it called?
A mucky dripping.
Huh.
Uh-huh. It's creative.
I'm sorry, I just have to share this. Every time I hear the word muck, in any way, shape, or form, I just always have flashbacks of The Office with Dwight talking about He says R is one of the most menacing of letters. That's why they call it murder and not muck duck. So every time I hear that, because it's a big inside joke in my house, we'll just go around quoting that line. I don't know why, but it's so funny. I think it's just the idea of a letter being menacing. Like that R is just going to come right at you.
Yeah, a muck duck. That's good. And I don't even know his, like, whenever I think of him as an actor, I just think of Dwight.
Yes, me too.
I don't know his real name.
Will be other movies that he's in. My husband and I will be like, "Oh, Dwight's in this." Like we know what his real name is, but we don't ever call him that.
Or like Steve Carell. I mean, everybody knows Steve Carell's name, but a lot of people will reference him as the Office character, which I can't even think of his name. But yeah.
So, Michael Scott. So, funnily enough, I never had that problem with him because my first experience with Steve Carell, I did not get on board with The Office until I met my husband. So, about 6 years ago, he finally got me into watching it. So, my first experience with Steve Carell was actually The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and so I actually, he's always been Steve Carell to me, but when he got me to start watching it and I was enjoying it, I was remembering when I was a senior in high school was kind of when The Office was at its peak. And I had two girlfriends that I used to sit with at lunch, and they would constantly be talking about The Office the day after it would have played. And I'm just like, listening to them talk about it, it just seemed like something that I didn't really care about watching. But it's one of those things, if you are just hearing about it, it just sounds like normal everyday stuff. But that is the joy of watching it. Is this just normal everyday stuff?
Yeah. And I've seen it like I said, I've binged it like 7 times. After like binging it 2 or 3 times, it's like I had to clean the house, but I want to have TV on, so I'll like do chores around the house and have The Office on.
Yep. In fact, when they took it off Netflix and you have to pay to watch the entire series on Peacock, we went out and bought the box set on DVD. We were like, because there was that gap like between it coming off Netflix and actually being on Peacock as well, and we were like, we don't ever want to be in the situation where we don't have access to The Office again.
Another one that I really enjoyed was Superstore. Did you ever see Superstore?
Yes. I like that one a lot too.
That was good. The comedy in there was just and I work at Costco. I don't know if you're familiar with Costco.
No, I've not. I've been fortunate enough. I've never had to work retail anywhere. So
it's a good job. I mean, I enjoy it. I came from being a manager in the restaurants, and I make more now than I did in the restaurant as a manager. And I love it. It's a good job.
Yeah.
And I only work 40-hour weeks.
Cool.
So anyways, a lot of the humor in there is relatable, for me.
Yeah.
So next up, I once had a friend who said to me I'd open the window and shag the crack of dawn. It's actually basically what we're doing. Just it's getting up early in the morning.
Oh, yeah. When I hear those words, no. I'm thinking something much more graphic.
Yeah. No, I actually researched and do it a little bit, and that's like I looked at the term, and it means just being okay with getting up early in the morning, basically.
Huh.
But that's kind of where that whole I feel like slang there is just like whatever you want it to be in a way.
Yeah, I feel like I need to watch more British comedy because I do like British television, but I like the period pieces and their procedurals. I really enjoy, which I like American ones as well. That's just kind of the content that I'm drawn to. But just like with American procedurals and things like that, the language is always more formal, so you don't really hear a lot of slang used in it. And I feel like maybe these things wouldn't shock me or immediately make me think of something graphic as opposed to what it actually means if I invested into some comedy.
Well, and that's why I picked this topic. I figured it'd help you out a little bit.
Yes, yes.
I don't, I've seen. You ever seen like 28 Days Later? Are you into like horror films at all?
Yes. I'm not so much into zombies, but I have seen that one.
The main actor, I'm not sure but he's British, and I love. I've seen him in a few things, and his comedy is pretty fun.
Really?
I can't think of his name. It's the dad.
I think
Do
I know who
you
you're
know who I'm
talking
talking about?
about,
And he's
but
played in a lot of other stuff. Is it 28 days or 28 weeks? One of them. There's one where it's the dad and the
yeah.
kids
So
and his
are
wife.
you talking about Cillian Murphy?
Yes, there you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
that's who I thought you were talking about. But I wanted, for the sake of that actor, if it hadn't have been him, I didn't want to be offensive. Yeah, no, I love him too. I think he is. I don't know. I just love him. I'm really into Peaky Blinders right now too. Um,
Yes.
in
He
fact,
also.
I'm a huge binge watcher. Like, I don't like to watch things until the entire series is there because I just want to watch it start to finish. And I was really into Peaky Blinders, binge watched the first two seasons, and then I found out that the sixth season hadn't even come out on BBC yet. And I was like, no, I have to stop. I have to stop. I have to slow down because otherwise I'm going to be left with this one season just dangling there that I don't have access to yet. And I'm going to be upset because the last season wraps everything up. And I just know by the time I get to the end of season 5, I'm going to have 9,000 questions that I want answered right now.
Yeah. I know that. Do you have Roku by chance?
I do, but I don't use it.
Well, the Roku channel has a lot of like BBC series on.
Okay.
So I mean,
Well,
I've
see,
watched
now
some.
I'm in this with you, and I have my day was pretty clear, and now I have 10 things I need to do when I get off of this call.
You're welcome.
But I really enjoyed. So let me think. My first experience that I had with him as an actor was that movie, the 28 Days Later, and then Red Eye that he did with Rachel McAdams. And I watched that movie because Rachel McAdams is my favorite. If she's in it, it doesn't even matter if it's something that I wouldn't usually watch, but she's just one of those actresses that for me, that if she's in it, I'm watching it. And I'm glad that I did watch that because it was wonderful, and it was so great watching that whole thing and just thinking he's this random guy that she met on an airplane that was nice that they were becoming friends with, and then that plot twist at the end. And I remember being devastated. I was like, no, I don't want him to be a bad guy. I don't want him to be.
I think the biggest for Rachel McAdams, at least, the thing that caught me off guard was when I watched The Hot Chick because I love Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
But she's in that. They switch bodies. And have you seen Hot Chick?
I have not. I didn't know she was in that.
She's like the main chick that he swaps bodies with.
Huh.
You have to see The Hot Chick.
No, I have seen it. When you said that, I was thinking about White Chicks for some reason. I have seen
No,
The Hot
totally
Chick.
different.
I've only seen it one time, so I don't have a lot of recollection of it, but I have seen it.
She doesn't have, so I don't know. I'm not a big fan of her humor. I think her acting is great, but her humor side isn't all there. Notebook, obviously, huge. I've seen it like 3 times, which is weird, but I've seen it 3 times.
That's not weird. I remember when it first came out on DVD. Sorry, my little dog is in here and he's chewing on a pillow. He wasn't supposed to be chewing.
I've had my cat kind of climbing
Yeah,
around. So
I saw it back there. When the Notebook came out on DVD, I bought it and probably watched it every day for like a long time. That movie is one of my favorites. That might sound cliche, but I don't really care.
I was going to say that sounds like 60 to 70% of women.
It's one of my favorites for so many reasons, and after seeing that, I became a giant fan of James Marsden's too. And so, funny story about that was I am of the Hocus Pocus generation, the OG Hocus Pocus generation. And so when I found out that James Marsden actually does the voice of the cat, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been in love with him my whole life and never even knew it.
And I just watched that the other night with my kids. Yeah.
So, and I think because of course I have the movie on DVD, but now it's on Disney Plus as well, and has been since Disney Plus came around. But I just never paid attention to the opening credits when you're growing up, because when you're growing up, like, they're just words on a screen. You don't want them there. You just want to watch the movie. And so when I have started paying attention to who is actually in stuff, and I saw that come on there, I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Speaking of that, have you seen the remake of Sabrina on Netflix?
Oh no, I haven't. My husband was watching it.
It botched the sitcom.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I heard. My husband had started watching it, and then I think he got about 3 episodes into it, and he was like, "This kind of took a turn for the worst."
yeah, because it's one of those like teen dramas, and it's not necessarily that teen dramas are bad, but like it's just so expected. All the stuff in it's expected. It's nothing like the original series, and I like the original series, So
yes.
Okay, let's get back into the topics.
Okay.
I got another dish called a Stargaze pie.
A Stargaze pie. I don't know what that is, but it sounds quite celestial and something that I would be interested in trying just based off the name. But I'm sure when you tell me what's in it, I may not feel that way.
Yes, probably not. It's a fish pie with 7 different fishes, chopped egg, potatoes, onions, and fish heads on the side of the pie, facing up, looking at the stars.
So you had me until the fish heads.
Mm-hmm. I'm more curious as to whose idea was to put fish heads in the pie facing upwards.
Oh, it had to have been a fisherman. Had to have been.
There's no way it wasn't.
Yeah, no, you've got me until the fish heads. I would order it and be like, "Can you not put the fish heads on there?" That's just one thing.
Save them for the next pie.
I used to, when I was in college, my roommate that I had, we used to like to go get sushi, and she would get the sushi that had the shrimps that were full shrimp that still had the head on it, and I'm just like, Belinda, I don't know how you can do that. Like, why? But the nice thing about it was, because I saw it so often, we went to New Orleans for my cousin's fiance's bachelorette party, and my other cousins were there, and she ordered a salad in New Orleans, and the shrimp still had the heads on it. And I was like, Kaylee, I can do this. And she just couldn't get past the fact that there had been a shrimp with its head on her salad. She would not eat it at all. And all it was, like, once I took it apart for her, it was fine. It was still just a shrimp salad. She wouldn't touch it.
Well, and that's like I had my 10-year-old, I had to teach him how to, like, if you just pinch the tail and slide the meat, you just slide the meat out of the shell.
Yeah.
And now he's fine. He loves shrimp. As far as seafood goes, I've never really had a ton. Like, I've had shark meat before. That was good. I've had tuna, like actually tuna from the sea, not like canned.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that too, but have you had anything crazy from the sea?
No, not anything crazy. I mean, I'll have a nice calamari every once in a while, but other than that, just shrimp and salmon. Like, we watch MasterChef a lot too, and sometimes they do stuff with squid ink and whole squids and stuff like that. I'm like, no, like, I don't even want to look at it.
Well, and on TikTok, sometimes you'll see like the Oriental like fishermen and stuff, and they got like the weirdest things live cooking in a pot, and I'm like, no, I couldn't do it.
No.
I got one more more story here, and this is actually sitcom related. So
okay,
it's always surprising when I rewatch Fresh Prince and Jeffrey says wanker and it's not bleeped. Americans probably didn't realize this, but it's a swear word in Britain, and it would be censored if it was on the UK TV.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I heard the word wanker before. But I feel like sometimes when you watch British movies, the term is thrown around so often. And again, it may be because it's written by Americans and they don't really know that, but I just feel like it's tossed around. I would have never known it was something that would be
Yeah.
censored.
I've always used it comically, like whenever we, like, me and buddies are like doing
Yeah.
accents or something, you just bloody wanka, just stupid stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I had no
Does
idea.
it say, I mean, what is the swear word used for?
I don't know.
Like, you don't know?
Mm-mm.
See, now I have
I
something
didn't.
else to do.
Yeah. Again, you're welcome. No, I just thought it was interesting because I used to watch Fresh Prince too, so I didn't know
Yeah.
that was a bad word.
I haven't seen all of it, but it used to come on at night, like while I was going to sleep. So I would watch a couple of episodes on it. I think it was always on Nick at Night, and I would watch it before I went to bed. So I haven't seen all of them, and certainly haven't seen them in order. And I don't think I ever saw an episode where they were saying that either. But
He does.
yeah,
He
that's
like
interesting.
after I remember, and like I went back and watched like some YouTube clips and stuff, and he does say it quite a bit, but it is what it is.
Oh,
I would
that's funny.
imagine it's probably kind of like a term for asshole. Like how we call people assholes or something if we're in a bad mood,
Yeah.
or maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense with the context that it's typically used in.
But then
But
again, you got growler, meaning so
yeah,
I don't know.
that's true.
Is there anything that you have that you want everybody to know as far as like upcoming stuff or where they can find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Ashlie Lawson Actress. I'm Ashlie ASHLIE. Ashlie Lawson Actress. My website is ashlielawson.com. My Facebook page is just Ashlie Lawson. And as far as things coming out, I'll have to keep you updated on that when everything gets posted. I know my feature film that I just wrapped, after it gets done in the film circuit, if it doesn't end up getting picked up, they're planning on putting it on Amazon Prime. They have a few other projects already on Amazon Prime as well. And then my trailer that's currently out being pitched will hopefully have some good news for it shortly as well.
Well, that's awesome. And you can send me links to all it as they come out because I can just update the description on the episode.
Yes, absolutely I can.
Mm-hmm. What did you think?
About what? About this?
Episode,
This was fun. It was a good time. When you told me the rundown of it, I was like, okay, this isn't going to be a run-of-the-mill podcast. And I've learned some new things. Like I said, I feel like I'm leaving here with homework assignments. But like the fun kind of homework assignments that you look forward to doing.
Yeah, and it's not like a priority. It's just interesting stuff,
Yeah.
Well, it has been a pleasure having you on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Like I said at the beginning, glad we finally were able to work out a time and get this done.
Of course, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. And I will actually send you the link whenever it's done and uploaded.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.